Peace and love, family. Peace and love. We'll be getting started momentarily. Hope that everybody can hear me and see that we are all well. Hope that you're all there and you're enjoying what we have going for us. I am grateful to be present. This is Seba Inpu Ka Mut. And, we're here together. We're going to get it going. We're going to get it started. And so, as such, let's make it happen, y'all. I'm grateful that for those of you that jumped on IG, grateful for folks that are here. Again, I'm Seba Inpu Ka Mut, Seba meaning teacher, and I'm here coming to you live and direct on both IG and Facebook Live, and eventually we'll be up on our YouTube channel for our tools in our liberation tools section. So we really want y'all to check us out. Okay, we're coming to you today. I know we've been away for a minute, and I really wanted to just kind of come right out and say things may look a little different, but it's the same crew, same folks, same time. We're going to get back on our cycle. What I wanted to be able to do with today's time is to talk to you about what the Kemetic KhASA Association does quarterly. So 4 times a year, some of you may know, we do what's called a community fast. Now, this community fast is different at different times of the year. It connects to different energy systems in the body. We utilize fasting really a little differently than other folks that do fasting. So what I want to do is kind of lay what we call an adumbration. But technically, what I mean is I want to basically lay out a general sketch or an outline for what we're going to do together for the next 45 to 50 minutes. I want to be able to get you to a place where you have a clear understanding, very simple and easy, just a down there conversation that we can all have that clarifies what we're going to be doing over the next few days. Now, I'm going to lay down some basic ground rules, and hopefully you've seen these either through the Liberation Tools window on our IG, or you've seen it through the Liberation Tools on our YouTube channel. And the previous places where we talked about, we've kind of chronicled aspects of the summer solstice fast from last year, the fall equinox fast, the winter solstice, and then this recently we finished up the spring equinox. Solstice, spring equinox, fast. And so what we want to do is I'm just going to give you an overview. This may be the first time some of you have been with us. This is a fast that I brought back as I used to do this with my elders at the Good Life Health Food Center in California. So this is not something that the Kemetic KhASA Association created or developed on our own. It is done in tradition with the communities in Southern California and across the world that are done precisely to share this information so that the people have access to it and so that you have a much fuller understanding of how this kind of fast works. And so this is one fast of a variety of fasts. And I'm going to touch just briefly on some things we had on some of the other recordings, just so you get an understanding. So like many of you may have heard of Ramadan, which is for those that are Muslim. In practice, they just finished that particular fast where they go like a month during one of their holy seasons where they do not partake of food or water during daylight hours. So that's one type of fast. There's a variety of fasts that have, there's even another Kemetic group starting a fast at Ra-Seki Temple. Will be starting their fast on June 1st as well. And what I wanted to do was to talk about not the metaphysics, although that's what some people call it, but talk about some of the deeper connections to fasting, some of the general traditions around why Africans fast, when they fast, what are the patterns in that. I'm going to talk about some of the important reasons why we're fasting, particularly during these times, and to talk about why it may behoove you should you have the opportunity to fast with us. And if in fact that's something that you would choose to do with your own volition. Again, we won't be offering medical advice. we'll be speaking from a frame of reference of traditional and historical uses of plants and plant medicines by African descended peoples, specifically those that are coming through the Kemetic Aha and Sama Association, infused with the principles of Tai Chi Chuan, traditional Chinese medicine, Taoist yoga, Hatha Pranayama Kundalini yoga, Taoist yoga, like I may have mentioned before, our what we call Rekati Committee, our Kemetic mind science, which is our breathing exercise and meditation system. And so that, along with our SMA, or what other folks are called yoga, in addition to our daily massage, aromatherapy, food logs, and prayer. So this is a kind of a full service opportunity for you to look at your relationship to food, your relationship to your physical body, we call it KhAT, and then your relationship to in essence, to consciousness itself. Is spirit over mind over body. And so what we want to be able to do is get you to understand that a great deal of your relationship with food is connected to the brain, which is a part of the body. And we don't want the body to completely be dictating and ruling. We want to remind you that the body is a magnificent tool, a magnificent vehicle that offers a great deal of information to the consciousness through a plethora of tools that affords you the opportunity to break them down in your body in ways that you have a deeper understanding and appreciation. And this is the way that I talk about sovereignty, that by taking control of your body and understanding the relationship and how to process the information that comes in, you're now afforded with the opportunity to rule appropriately, given appropriate information. And so that's what we want to spend our time together on, the most of our time, okay? So what I'm going to do now is talk about generally Africans would fast 4 times a year with the season, with the cosmos. And again, I need you to understand that for Africans, we're very near, the majority of our culture was developed right near the equator in that core, Central Africa, Congo, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, that center core that was able to observe the cosmos. So that even though we aren't directly impacted by the equinox and the solstices in the same way as those in the northern hemisphere or the deeper southern hemisphere in terms of their changes as it relates to the relationship of the rotation of the earth and the sun in terms of planting seasons, which is where most folk really think of in terms of seasons, Africans were able to incorporate more than one calendar. We're very dynamic. So you would have a solar calendar, you'd have a lunar calendar, you'd have a stellar calendar. And then there would be, and so you'd find ways to incorporate those calendars. And then you also would have the sun, even though we call it a solar calendar, what we mean by that is there are multiple ways of measuring the passage of a year. And so I've covered that in other areas, but say we would look at the star system Sirius A, and in doing so, that would then inform you that it takes 365.25 days for it to move from one place in the sky to the same place in the sky. And that being one cycle, it affords you the opportunity to understand the measurement of the year comes from a place where our ancestors did it so that it was not just one way of, that was why geometry was revered. Let me say it that way. So you had to show and prove. You had the proofs of what folks now call modern geometry. And so you'll hear me a lot of times talk in terms of mathematics, talk in terms of science, because that is what our ancestors practiced: science, deep science, with the respect and doing it in such a way that they were able to live in harmony with nature. So it wasn't destructive to the planet. Okay, so now we got that out. So now our people typically, in terms of the Western calendar, and you'll hear me jumping around about this, but we would typically start our fast on a Tuesday in the Western calendar. And we would typically end them on a Saturday. Tuesdays and Saturdays, in terms of the Western calendar, would be important days and days that we would go with fasts. And we typically would fast, and in much of Africa, there's typically abundance. So we tended to fast longer during the times of greater abundance. So the summer fast for us is going to be this year from June 1st to June 26th for the basic fast, which is what we're talking about now. We have a slightly more advanced fast that we're doing. And for those folks that want to engage in that, who are, basically frequent fasters or experienced fasters, you can get with me directly through our social media. And if you're interested in joining our fast at the advanced level, get at me and we can get you the documentation for that, the guidance documentation for that. So the guidance documentation links will be put up with this video later on today and on the website as a way to aid people in guiding. And also we have pinned there. This information has, the accumulation of 30 years worth of work, didn't just magically appear from study with some amazing elders. And it has information in the documents that would aid you on the fast. So first we got that, we go June 1st to the 26th for the basic, June 1st to the 29th for the advanced. So that's a Tuesday to a Tuesday, but basically it runs along, usually it aligns with certain aspects of the lunar cycle. Now, because like I said, we incorporate the cycles of the planets, the stars, and other pieces, what I'm not going to do is to go into who you would work with. We have a couple of amazing astrologers that we connect with. I do the astrology, but in the middle of me working the fast and aiding people and watching and helping people to stay rooted and centered during the fast process, I'm one man, and I acknowledge that. And in so doing, I live in a village with amazing people. And so that's part of the reason that we're here. We do this to expand the scope by allowing those people who are amazing at what they do to big up them, to share with them. So there's a sister, you can catch her on Instagram, called Word Life Astrology with Sonia Marie. So she's going to be on IG as well as on YouTube on her channel there, talking about some of the planetary and stellar relationships that will be happening during this month. I'm sharing that information for you to understand that we're already in Saturn is retrograde. Mercury's gone into retrograde this morning. Last week, we had a super moon with a full lunar eclipse during the full moon. And we're going to have these cycles that are all around the time that we're fasting that are going to have energetic impacts on the body, energetic impacts on your consciousness. And it's important to be able to pay attention to the context within which your body is moving through space on this planet. And so with that, she's someone you want to check out. Now I'm going to go through, like for Africans, here's what we do. And we're going to take into account of the modern age. All right. So again, Tuesdays and Saturdays, we do the fast. Typically the new year, and why you see this is a sacred time, is that typically the new year starts for some Africans about June 8th. So next weekend into the next week is the start of the New Year's celebrations for the cultures of Africa. And the New Year's celebrations goes, I'm going to give you the Western calendar reference so that you can kind of get an understanding, but starts about June 8th, June 6th through the 8th, runs until September 11th. And that covers the New Year's celebration on the traditional calendars for Africa. And it's tied to the relationship of available foods. It's tied to the interconnection of what is ripe at which particular time on the planet for the things that we do. Also, there's offerings. And briefly, we'll get into an offering so that you are offering yourself during this fast as the offering. You're taking the time to move the body differently. And in moving differently, we're talking about Tai Chi Chuan, Qigong, yoga, breathing exercises, meditation, and reading books that we use, typically books that would be like from our Wisdom from the Sages of the Ages section of the class. So things like the teachings of Ptah Hotep, the Masnavi, translated by Javid Mojaddedi from Rumi. You would look at the essential Tai Chi Chuan, which is a very good translation of the Tai Chi Chuan classics. Look at African proverbs. There's also Yoruba proverbs, Igbo proverbs. You look at proverbs that come out like the Tao Te Ching. You would look at something like, so these are the things from around the world. These different traditions, we use our wisdom teachings, be it from your religious practice or spiritual practice as well. We want to be able to ground ourselves and root ourselves in these practices during this time. Additionally, you want to take the time to inform your partner that we will not be engaging in fluid exchanges of the vital fluids. So, I mean, well, not saliva, the other vital fluids. All right, be it the Amrita or the heavenly elixir, nectar that is released by the flower from our female partners, or the vital essence that is released by our male partners. And so we won't be having that type of release during the fast. We'll be utilizing that energy to raise our vibration. All right, shifting the body. All right, I'm going to get into that in just a moment. I want to go over a few things that's not going to be happening so that folks can get clear and get their mind right, get their mind ready. All right, if your television shows have a commercial, not watching those. If your radio shows have a commercial, not listening to that. You want to like, so groups like say like the Pacifica radio stations, they're still on the menu because they're not commercial. All right, you want to minimize television that has commercials, minimize radio that has commercials. We want you to read. We want you to get out in nature. Do your Tai Chi, do your practices outside, get some direct sunlight on your body. And we're going to come back to that in just a moment. All right. So we understand. So now we got it. We know what's happening with our body, what we're working to do. And you want to be able to do this. And the guidance document talks about this. So you'll have an opportunity to really dive in and look at your practice. And there's things you want to do every day. Some things we're going to do multiple times a day. And there's a suggested activity process in there that talks about what that is, what it looks like. And I really appreciate, your practice, your attention, your participation. So we'll get to have some questions at the very end. I just want to throw that in. All right, so right now, what I would love to get to is our next session. Now that you know the time of year that we do it, we typically, how long we're doing it for this fast. So in the fall, it's a little shorter. It's about maybe 2 or 3 weeks in the fall. The winter is the shortest fast. We go about 3 to 7 days. And then the spring, it's about 2 weeks. And then we get the longest fast in the summer, primarily because you have access to an abundance of fruit and vegetables wherever you are all around the world right now, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere, because it's summer here, okay? And as a result, spring, summer, we're still in the spring. What you want to be able to do is, and we have this on the suggested foods, things that you want to eat what's in season where you are. So right now we look at berries are still in season. That includes strawberries. You want to eat it organic as much as possible. And again, I know for many folks, they think, oh my God, that's expensive. And I'm not going to give the kind of trite, banal answer. I'm going to say it this way, that eating organic is what our grandparents actually just used to call food. Because this is back before the days of chemical transitions from chemical pesticides made by corporations. So we know that all things are chemicals, so I'm not going to play the word game around chemicals. Again, I'm here being emotionally sober and transparent. So we're not playing with the trolls and playing with the people who want to quibble about what things mean in terms of words by being intellectually dishonest. We know that all the things are made of chemicals, but we're talking about inorganic compounds being utilized and switched over from weapons of war to now be used as a tool to provide so-called nutrients to the soil. That's not what we want to do. And I'm not here to talk about how to prepare your soil, because we're talking, you can just get you an organic farmer for now. If you want to grow more food on your own, there's some books on the book list that talk about that. Or you can come at me directly and I can guide you on some ways that will put you in connection with folks that are doing that work already. Again, one man. And I may not be 100% accurate on everything because I'm not an expert in everything. What I am sharing is some areas where I do have expertise, where I have been allowed to speak in public to people about it. And I have been doing so in concert with instruction from my elders and continued research. We clear? Good. All right, I've already got a couple of questions that I wanted to address, which is that many folks, this fast is going to be a raw food fast. And I know some folks are like, oh my God, I can't cook my food. And I want you to just relax and think about it's going to be really hot as we head into the summer. Right now, the majority of the Western United States is in drought conditions. So what that already means is that with it being warm and in drought conditions, you're going to need to keep your water intake higher. You're going to need to keep your electrolytes higher. The best way, well, not the best way, but one of the most bioavailable ways for humans to get their electrolytes is through leafy greens. Facts. Fruit, vegetables, raw. All right. Now, I know some folks may have some concerns about a raw diet because they may have deficient spleen or the deficient spleen cheat. Okay. And so we're going to talk about this. And one of the things that we're doing is I offer a holistic perspective. So what we're doing is we also, by raw, doesn't mean, it means you can still have tea because we're not heating the water up so hot that you're cooking. We don't do boiling water with tea. You want warm water, okay? Not hot water, warm water with your tea. The main reason we use warm water, because I didn't say this was a vegan fast, I said it's a raw fast. We're not eating animal flesh, we're eating vegetables. But the reason I say raw is because we use honey. For those that, if you're going to sweeten something during this time, we use honey. And not the honey you buy at the store, that's all you have. And let me first start with this, that this practice comes as a trauma-informed practice. It comes as a practice that is accessible for the people. So it means that if you don't have access to some of these things, but you do have a different version of it in your house, use what you have. I'm not here to shame anyone or do any of those things. We're here to help you identify the ways that you can make a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. And once you get better, you know better, you'll do better. And so I'm here to affirm you where you are for taking this step. Even just sitting here listening to me today may be the first step. You may not join us on this fast. We want to be able to plant those seeds to know that there's a community that is moving forward with this to reclaim control of our bodies, to connect with other human beings in an authentic way that is not designed or controlled through the foods that we eat. All right. And I'm not going to go into heavy detail about this, but understand if your food is coming from a lab or folks are, you have the food technicians and food scientists working on what you eat, you have to understand that's going to have an impact because your body absorbs that and you become what that is. That's what digestion does. And so what we're talking about now is finding a way to reset the digestive system, to reset you, to put you in a way where you can respond appropriately and effectively, hopefully with integrity and authenticity, to the environment around you. That's all we're working to do, okay? And if we can aid you in reclaiming your humanity in that process, as well as giving you the ability to see right well with your ears and hear right well with your eyes. And I know that kind of got transposed and y'all like, see with your ears, hear with your eyes. Yes, we want to afford you the ability to expand your concept of what you think your senses are. We want to awaken within you the ability for the plants and the herbs that you normally would cook with to talk to you. So we're not going to give you a whole bunch of recipes, but there are a few. We're not going to give you a whole bunch of examples, but I will be posting pictures every day. Not to shame anybody, but to say, hey, here's what I did. Check it out. You can do this. And I'm going to share some things with you now. There's a food log that we do. And you'll be able to get that food log and you'll be able to chronicle your emotional response as you eat every day, every meal. Anything that passes your lips gets written down on the food log. Okay? Simple, easy. However, what it affords you is now you can see how things make you feel when you eat them. Why did I eat that? Oh, I was getting stressed, and so I went and wanted to eat this. And I'm gonna share this with y'all, and I've said it before, but I like crunchy things. So typically I like my chips and salsa, chips and guacamole. I had a real wonderful elder who used to say, Inpu, you the most chip eatingest man I know. And I mean, before she passed, I went to visit her. She was on her deathbed a few years back, and she said, "You still eat them chips?" And a lot of people say, "Well, you eat chips. Chips are high in cholesterol, high this," and I don't eat those kind of chips. But we won't get into the brands. I just want to suffice it to say that the chips ain't on the menu here because they're raw. So as I was going through the fast, I started noticing on my food log, that I started pining and complaining that I wanted some chips. I wanted to crunch on some stuff. And I realized that I could add nuts and seeds to my salad to give me the crunchiness that I really wanted. However, had I had that old crutch of just going and grabbing some chips, I wouldn't have thought about it. So I want you to really pay attention, and you use these food logs to be able to identify some of these cravings, some of these other things, so that it's easy to say, oh, let me just go ahead and get these chips. And because I'm leading the fast to give you full authenticity and integrity, I was like, well, I could adapt the fast for everybody so then I could have my chips. That ain't right. That ain't right. And I don't get down like that. So I want you to understand that this is me too. I'm on this fast too. Okay, and I'm dealing with what's coming up for me during this time as well. And I found them nuts work, and I never looked back. I didn't have to worry about it. Your body and the past patterns that you have are going to come back and talk to you about, hey, this will be okay. You can go ahead. I mean, I know it's cooked and we on a raw fast, but it's all right. Just this one time. As opposed to leaning into the creativity and finding another way. I'll give you a perfect example. So not only did I like having chips with my guacamole, but I like crunch. So you know what else I did? I realized that if you get some really fresh celery, you can take celery and make celery sticks and add that to your guacamole. Oh, it's tasty, it's crunchy. And you know what else you could do? You could slice your cucumber a little bit thicker, and you could use that as a chip, little cucumber chip. So now you're still getting crunchy, but you're also getting all the direct nutrients. Okay, so I'm just talking about my stuff because I want to be clear how this works. That I'm not just a client, a member, I'm also a client. Okay, here's the other piece I want you to think about. Folks are saying, eating raw all the time isn't necessarily the best way to process food. And I was like, that's true. And so what I want you to understand is that for the first couple of days on the fast, you're not raw. Our desire in this fast is to wean you off of animal flesh in preparation for the move on to all vegetables. So you're going to do them in there. The animal flesh you're going to come off of. You're going to come off the coffee. Okay, folks? You're going to come off the coffee as well. You're going to come, we ain't talking again, no sexual relations, even with yourself. Okay? And we can, I know there may be questions about that. We'll get to that. But on the food side, as we get in here, we're talking about those things and about raw. We're not going to have every salad be the same every day. So you're not going to be eating kale, we'll say, raw kale every day, such that it starts to impact your thyroid. All right. First off, that's a whole lot of kale, and it's a short period of time. And the other thing is we're not going to get crazy on these fruit smoothies either. Because I know some of y'all are addicted to sweet and aren't sure about how that happened. So in the mornings, you know, you want to be able to eat. I talk about whole fruit. And so when we talk of whole fruit, for most of these things, y'all don't really grasp what I'm saying. So I'm gonna get it to you this way. If you got a watermelon with black seeds, you want to eat till the color. And I'm going to talk about the pink flesh watermelon or the watermelon flesh watermelon, because there's some that are orange or a little goldish yellow. Talk about the pink ones. You want to eat till there ain't no pink. You want to eat to the white. Okay. I know some folks ain't used to that, but that's, you eat to the white. And if you want to leave some extra, you can eat it. You could actually then juice the rind with the white and that extra pink so you don't waste it. Okay. Because I can hear my grandmama in my back of my head if you wasted watermelon. No pink left on the melon. None. Okay. The other side is that what we want to be able to do is to talk to you about this concept known as zero waste. All right. So, and that's on the advanced fast, and I'm not going to get into depth on that. But in terms of this one, we'll be talking about, so if you get a mango and you wash that mango, and most of the time, these Westerners, when they give you what the nutritive value is, they don't include the peel. They don't include the pith. Okay, and so for pith, what I mean is if you have a citrus fruit and you peel the peel, the white stuff next to the peel is called the pith. It's usually bitter. It usually has wonderful nutritive value and healing value. However, Westerners don't use that. And so for many of us, what we're seeking to do by me talking about the fast here and by us doing this is a process of decolonization. Okay? I want to help you have the same relationship with food our ancestors did, which means not only don't waste it, but find out what it's really used for. So when I eat a mango, there's the only thing left sometimes is the seed. Okay. And I'm not, I won't get into the other aspects of mango eating is hugely important, especially for men. All right. During this time, you want to be able to find the things that you can eat that benefit you. Zinc is one of the important minerals for men. Women, it's iron. Okay. So you want to find ways to maximize those and how you would get those in a plant-based way. And so for men, it's very simple. Just, pineapple juice. And there's one company that we utilize. If you can't make your own juice or blend it, and what I'll do is I'll share, there's a wonderful article that just came out talking about the pros and cons of blending and juicing. Wonderful, wonderful. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned and check that out. Okay. Typically I blend, mainly because it's less cleanup. Because again, for many of you that don't know, I'm a father of 5, very busy, multiple jobs, multiple businesses, trying to, and then a very busy, active relationship with my wife and the community. Don't have a lot of time. And, I'd much rather, while I love juice, if you can make your own juice, I want you to do it, but I want you to pay attention to the serving sizes, particularly if you're making, we'll call it fruit juices, okay? The main thing we do when we're doing these juices is vegetable juices. And I don't mean like a V8 or something like that. I mean like you're gonna take some cabbage, it's red cabbage, okay? And I'll show you, so like you take some red cabbage and then you blend in maybe a little kale, a little spinach with that. And then you might throw that and have a base of like I like cabbage juice by itself, but you might throw like a base of coconut water or something else as a base, or straight water can work as well. You want to keep the electrolytes high. That's why I mentioned coconut water. Okay, typically, remember, your fruits and your veggies don't blend well together. Most of the times that people are trying to sell you stuff, the reason they add the sweet stuff in it is because they want you to drink it. Remember, you have 5 taste buds. Bitter is one of them. Just want to make sure that folks are clear about that. We know folks know about sweet and salty, sugary, and all that, but bitter is a hugely important one as well. And so the fast will afford you an opportunity to actually get to the bitter. And the bitter is wonderful healing in the bitter, okay? And this is a great time to get you some leafy greens, collards, kale, and I like the lacinato kale or dinosaur kale, black kale. It's black, so, you know, try and roll that way. No apologies about that. Now, we've got that kind of covered in terms of what we want to look at, what's happening, how we go on. And we looked at, you know, why we don't want to do a lot of fruit juices is because that's going to cause your blood glucose levels to spike and drop. You don't want to play that rebound yo-yo stuff with your body, okay? So what you want to be able to do is in the morning, there's nothing wrong. Again, the way we want to suggest it is we're not only doing, okay, first off, the word is not called breakfast, it's called break fast. Because every day what you're doing is you're typically breaking your fast overnight. You sleep 6 to 8 hours, no food, no drink. And that typically is why your urine is a darker color. It's more nutrient rich as the body is releasing the things that it doesn't need. Okay. So what we're also going to be having you do is to take a look at the quality and the texture of your movements and the color of your urine, so that it should be fairly constant during the day. It shouldn't vary from, say, you know, apple juice to lemonade. It shouldn't vary in there. You want to be closer to the lemonade side or the clear water as much as you can, because that's when your body is not dehydrated. And because we're eating raw foods, you want to ensure that you have a higher water intake than normal, because your body processes the water, uses the water to allow you to have bowel movements. And so hopefully what this will enable you to do, and that's the challenge for a lot of folks that get on a raw food fast, or they start going into raw foods, and they start saying, well, I'm getting these headaches right here in the center of my forehead. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna show you how to stimulate your large intestine, Meridian, from an easy place. And I want you to drink some more water, and in the next hour or so, you should have a movement. Because many folks don't understand that it takes water to have movements. So if you're dehydrated already and then you do raw food, you don't increase your water intake, you're going to have a delay in movements. And what you should have is an increase in your movements. Okay, and then I'm just going to talk about this briefly so the folks have an understanding, because most folks probably don't watch their movements, you know, like I do for, you know, textures. Once you begin eating regularly this way with the raw food, you should notice that your bowel movement doesn't, as soon as it comes out of you, it sinks to the bottom. That means your body's been holding on to it for a very long period of time. And so you've had to go, you just didn't. Okay, and you don't want that, because then the body's putrefying that stuff. You want it, you know, 2 or 3 hours later, you want that stuff out of your body. And because we're not eating animal flesh, and we're eating rather simple foods, simple carbohydrates and minimal carbohydrates on this, because we're not doing bread because that's cooked, what you will find is that you should have a much better flow. Okay. And so there's a variety of things that you can take that we can talk about. But I also like to do, if I'm going to juice my vegetables, I call it my liquid salad. And that's literally what it is. The one thing you may not want to do is to add garlic, okay? So if we're on the raw, and, you know, be careful, because typically when folks are having eating disorders, when they're not eating, or they're eating and purging, and their system gets messed up, and they don't feel hungry, they don't want to eat. What the Westerners have learned is one of the traditional practices, you give someone some garlic, and then that stimulates the hunger reflex in the body. Okay, again, when you understand plant medicines, when you understand the plant medicines on the planet the way that our ancestors did, it will reveal to you a very intimate relationship that this body has. And as you learn that, as you listen to your body, it may respond in very different ways than you think. All right, so what we do is we have set up, so here's a basic day. You wake up in the morning, you're going to evacuate your lower GI tract. You're going to release the contents of your bladder as well. You perhaps get some water. You're going to do some meditation. some breathing exercises. For those of you that aren't doing Tai Chi, that are brand new to Tai Chi, you can check out our YouTube page, which has some of the beginning movements of the Tai Chi. The breathing exercises are there because you want to be able to utilize the breathing exercises, because between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. is the time where the large intestine meridian is active. And so that means it'll be easier and you'll be moving with your body to eliminate anything that's there that doesn't need to stay in your body. So that's what the breathing exercises are designed to do, as well as aspects of the smile or the yoga are designed. Different asanas or different body positions are designed to aid in moving and helping the organ systems, particularly digestion, to get that stuff out. And that's a good part of what the sun salutation is designed to do, is to work on the GI tract. Folks don't, and it has other applications, but that's one of the main ones. Okay. Same thing with the Tai Chi Chuan, the deep breathing. What we're doing is we're working on what in Hindi yoga they call it the Agni, or the fire energy, and want to activate that internal fire to utilize that for the energy that we need to process the foods that we intake. And once that fire gets going, it activates through the process of our meditation systems to be able to awaken the twin serpents at the base of the spine. All right. And what I want you to understand is that when you eat cooked food, particularly animals, it takes about 80% of your body's energy to digest and process that food. And so by us going raw or going to juice or water, the different fasts, it allows your body to not utilize 80% of the consciousness energy to digest food. And so that it enables you and your consciousness to now be in other places, like creativity, like joy, like being present with intimate partners or children, or seeing more creative ways that you can be productive in your everyday life. You can be more present. And what you may find is that your relationship to food changes, your relationship with other people changes, because again, you may find that you like being with those people purely because you like to go out and eat with them when you were stressed. And now that you're not stress eating, or now that you're not drinking alcohol in the same way, you may realize that your relationship to those people was tied to your emotional eating. And so you may find that you're leveling up, you're changing up the kind of environments that you want to be in. And you may learn that the real adult drink is not alcohol. The real adult drink is water and fresh juice. And so if you can't make your own juice or make your own juices during this time, there should be some place nearby that makes fresh, whole pressed fruit juices, whole fruit. Okay, that's what you want to try and get organic if possible. If not, there's a company called Lakewood Organic Juices. They make around the best because they try and do the whole fruit with it being organic. Now, if you're in the Southern California, greater Los Angeles area, there's a sister that does amazing work with juice called April's Life in a Bottle. Amazing, amazing sister, amazing story, amazing fresh pressed juice. Okay, also, if you're in the same area, at the Baldwin Crenshaw Farmers Market, there's a sister there called Major Microgreens. And you can also find her on Instagram under the same name, Major Microgreens, who does sprouts. And so you're getting the sprouted energy that's really high in nutritive value of different foods. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And that can be added, what I do during the fast is I keep those I take those in the car with me in little baskets and use that as my on-the-go snack, some sprouts. I know it sounds real wheatgrassy. It sounds real new agey and all the rest of that. However, if I'm snacking on the go, I know many of us, because of the way that we've, capitalism has us living our lives, this cis heteropatriarchal ableist structure, this settler colonial capitalist structure creates a space where we end up having to eat on the go a lot. So what I want you to be able to think about is that's where a lot of the stress eating comes in. That's where a lot of the poor decision making comes in. And just because something tastes a certain way, and again, I want you to remember that our ancestors knew how to make chitlins in Africa. Our ancestors knew how to take tripe and some of these other lesser known internal organs of animals and deal with them in Africa, because we didn't waste in Africa either. However, once we got here, we realized that, dang, these people was only letting us eat a certain place. And so there's a documentary series that's on Netflix right now, if you get an opportunity, called High on the Hog. Check it out. And if you aren't able to check it out, there's a little podcast, Facebook Live session I do with Reverend Bridge Feltis over from the Intersection of Mankind. And we do monthly topics. We every 2 weeks. So it'll be the 13th and the 27th of June. While we're on the fast, we're going to be talking about High on the Hog. So you have a chance to check that out with us. Okay. So now you go through your whole day, and you want to remember that, you know, as we're going through the day, doing this Tai Chi, doing this Qigong, doing this yoga, doing these breathing exercises, drinking the water, drinking the fruit juices, the vegetable juices, and the fresh fruit, and the tea, right? So now, and we're journaling, and we're in the food log. So as you see, you don't have a lot of time for bullshit. So you have a lot of time. The other bit of your time is going to be in prayer, meditation, being peaceful, and existing in ways that benefit you, your people, your community, and the planet. And that's really what this is about. It'll hopefully jumpstart your connection and your relationship to the culture. Also, if you're in the greater Los Angeles area, somewhere near Africa Town, Leimert Park, what you will find is a brother named Wose Kofi, who's Baba's Vegan Cafe. Baba's Vegan Cafe does raw plates. So if you need some assistance on what other kinds of variety you can get being raw during the fast, they have raw plates. Okay. And I'm going to hip you to this other thing, because some of y'all are like, what can I have for dessert? Can't do that. They have raw desserts. They got a raw cheesecake. Now, again, it's raw. It's not cooked. So, you know, I'm not recommending you do it during the fast, but I am saying it is raw. If some of you feel like you just got to have something sweet, there you go. Okay. So don't say I didn't give y'all nothing. Now, again, want to remind y'all that the pinned comment is there. So if you want to support this information that we're sharing, the hosting on the website, the ability to download these documents ain't free. It costs the association to be able to provide this for people. So, you know, if you'd like to donate, the pinned comment is there, so you could donate to support our efforts. We also spend a great deal of time working with homeless individuals, providing cultural enrichment for the membership and folks all around the world in terms of their understanding of Kemet, their work and understanding the healing properties and practices of our ancestors, and the work that we do in providing Jegna services to the community. And also, just want to get this in, we're going to be winding up very quickly. So I want you to think about, what are the ways that you can make a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change? That's what the Kemetic Al-Hansama Association is about. Facilitating folks making a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. If you join us on this fast, I can guarantee that if you follow what's happened on the fast, you're not going to get a headache coming on or coming off. That if you do it the way we ask, using fresh spring water, not distilled, spring. And I say spring, but use what you got. Okay? Use what you got. All right? And the main reason we want you to be able to use what you have is, I'm not here to tell you what it is, and I want you to start from where you are. All right? Start from where you are. Where you are. Where you are. And that's going to mean different things. what you will find is that because you have started on this journey and you're getting high energy, high vibration, living food coming into your system, living food. So in other words, it's highly bioavailable to you. You'll find that your energy is going to be higher. You'll find that not only are you well hydrated, but your electrolytes are high, the body's high, you're going to get better sleep. You may even dream. And so that's why we're talking about the daily journaling, in addition to the food logs, in addition to, if you don't do Tai Chi, you do some other martial art, do that martial art. I'm not pushing Tai Chi Chuan. I am pushing conscious, intentional movement of the body with intentional breathing, okay? That's what we want you to be able to do. And so when you're doing all of this while looking at the food, it really aids you in making a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. And that's the main thing that we want you to have an opportunity to do, is because when you make that consistent commitment to a lifestyle change, that doesn't just change you. It changes your partner, changes your household, changes your neighborhood, your community, and then it changes the planet. And the more of us that make a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change, the more we will see a different world manifest in front of us. I'm grateful for the time that you all have spent. What I will do is I didn't have a chance to answer a lot of questions or to do any questions today. So what I will do is I'll be back on next Sunday, the first Sunday, check in with folks and see about the fast. I know we're about to get kicked off of, what is this? Instagram. So for those people that actually have Facebook, I'm going to go a little longer on the Facebook side because I don't want any drama on the Instagram side from them having to chop this up. I don't want to go over an hour because I want to be able to, if you folks have questions, come on through, and I'm going to, stop these recordings and afford us the opportunity to have some direct dialogue. And I'll be in both places, but you're going to have to give me about 5 to 7 minutes because I got to close out the processing on the videos for these. So if you have some direct questions, hit me up. I'm going to be posting, should you be interested, the links where you can download and access the information for the fast so that you have an opportunity to get the guidance and support documents, and you're able to then acquire what you need to acquire should you want to participate. Along with my contact information, you can hit me up here on all of the social media for the Kemetic Ahan Sama Association. Again, we do this quarterly. So this is the start. This is going to be from June 1st to June 26th. I'm grateful. Thank you. So I'm going to say Hatapu, which is peace to you. Heru Nefer, good day. And I also want to say Ankh Uja Sene, which is life, health, prosperity, and strength. To each of you, I thank you for your presence, for your participation, and hopefully for us working together to aid you in making a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. And with that, I want to say Hatapu Dua'u, peace and blessings. Thank you. And I'll bow out at this moment to all the African, Indian, Asian, Chinese, Native American, and Pacific Islander masters that have gone before us. We bow. And we also bow to one another, showing mutual respect, Siasa, for one another. And I also want to pay respect to the ancestors and respect to the eternal witnesses of the earth and the sky, so that we recognize that we are never alone. Remember that. And I want you children of Africa, you children of the sun, we are magic. Everywhere we go, everywhere we have been, everything that we touch flourishes. All we have to do is remember who we are and live like we know who we are. With that, I will say one of the ways that we do that is you hear me saying it. Make a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. We didn't have a bunch of religions. We had a lifestyle. We had a way to live that was in harmony with the planet. And I want to offer it to you. And part of it is to get you going during this fast, during these meditations, teaching these Tai Chi and this is just Sama Yoga, teaching this Aha, teaching this Rekhati Kamati, helping you see your role and your place and aiding you in claiming sovereignty over your body. You are the microcosm of the universe. But most of us don't want to take the choice to be responsible for our actions. For when you do that, we will truly be gods and goddesses on this planet, the way we were intended to be. Remember, the Orisha, just to help folks in another tradition, they were people just like us. They elevated. They lived good lives. They demonstrated good character. They supported their community and uplifted and elevated their people by making a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. Thank you. Hatipu. What I gotta do here. Yeah. Hatipu.